right, I guess we're still waiting for a couple, but as far as I know, they're both coming still, right?
I haven't heard anything.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything either, so. Are we recording? We're not recording.
I'm ready to when you are.
I say we get started so we're on. All right. Welcome this evening to our Planning Commission. Currently, we have Bob Perry here and Michael Fortune. I'm Bob Hinkie and John Peterson. And we have a couple of other members that hopefully will be joining us this evening. But we'll get started. And we'll start with a Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll join me in that by standing. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Everybody get signed in here?
Let's see. Okay. The first item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes from our last meeting, which was on March 11th. Any concerns about the minutes?
I didn't see any corrections or anything. Everything looked good.
Okay.
How are
We
you?
have Joe Chambers here.
Nice to see you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob or Joe, any concerns about the minutes from our last meeting?
No, good.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes of the
Thank you.
meeting.
March 11th. March 11th, yep.
And I'll second
Bob
that.
Perry makes a motion to accept the minutes, and Michael Fortune seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, minutes are approved. Thank you. And now we're on to the public comments where citizens may express their views on issues within the Planning Commission's jurisdiction. And some of those may be online or by mail. Now, we have people who have written down that they would like to have that's during the public hearing, but general comments. If you would like to do that, if you want to wait, some have checked both. In fact, 3 have checked, excuse me, during the public hearing and a general comment. So does anybody have a general comment that they would like to make that's not related to any of the current items that you'll have a chance to share your thoughts on? We're all good? We appreciate you being here. So if you have something to say, we want you to say it. So, okay, was there anything online or emails?
We have one, but it's regarding the agenda item.
Okay, so we'll get to that then. Okay, then I will close the public hearing time, or sorry, not the public comment time. Thank you. So that we'll proceed to the public hearing. This is item number 2 on the agenda. The Planning Commission will take comments and questions from the public regarding a request to rezone parcel 020920049, a 3-acre parcel located in the general area of 370 North and 100 West. The property is currently zoned agricultural, and the applicant is requesting R16. Would you like to comment on that first, or should we have the...
That's totally up to you, Chairman, whichever way you want to do it.
Let's have you comment first in case that answers any of the questions or concerns, and then we'll go to the any comments or whatever the public hearing part. So if you would,
Okay.
I think that would be good.
Okay. Um, when Providence City gets a rezone application in, we follow state code. We follow our city code as well, but state code is pretty clear on a couple of things. Um, and one of them is that before that the planning commission needs to make a recommendation to the city council on land use items. Before the planning commission can make that recommendation, the planning commission needs to hold a public hearing, which is what's happening right now. I want the audience to keep in mind that this is where you make your comments. This is the way it's set up by state code. And these people on this bench will make a recommendation to city council, but the actual decision, whether or not to change the zone, is a city council decision. So if you're, and I feel bad that I'm got my backs to you when I'm talking to you, but that's just the way this is set up. So I apologize for that. But if you're thinking that they're going, if they make a recommendation that you don't agree with, that's not the end of the line. The city council is the one that will act on the final decision. The applicant provided the following statement. The parcel is under contract with condition that the property is rezoned to residential land. The purpose of the rezone is to subdivide the land and build, excuse me, affordable single-family housing. We look at the general plan. We look at, and the staff report is online that you can see. If you look at our agenda and link on the discussion item, you will see the staff report that Ryan's got up on the screen for you. As part of our general plan, we also look at our moderate income housing plan. This is, the general plan is required by the state of Utah. If a city is going to create zoning districts, they have to have a general plan. Within that general plan, the cities are required to have moderate income housing elements. And we do, we meet those requirements. And so we also look at those when we're considering a rezone. Providence City has indeed divided the city into zoning districts. The city council is the legislative body, which is what I explained. They're the ones that are going to actually make the decision. The planning commission will review the request, and after reviewing the request, but prior to making a recommendation to the city council, the planning commission will schedule and hold a public hearing. And the planning commission did look at this in their last meeting for that review. The city's zoning districts include the AGR, which is agricultural, and the R16. The application process is consistent with the requirements in Providence City Code 10-1-5. And so then we talk about the general plan. Now, if you look at our general plan map shows that we anticipated this would be a park. And Providence City actually has reached out, but it was not in a price that Providence City could justify for a park. And so, but it did show on our general plan that we would like to see it as a park on the map. There's another part in our general plan that is kind of a framework part. And in this framework, it talks about the preferred scenario for this area is neighborhood residential. And that's what's kind of surrounding all around it. Neighborhood residential development is locations of existing and potential new residential development. Neighborhoods and residential development may consist of one housing type or a mix of housing types. And then this request, if you look at our moderate income housing plan, objective number 1 in that plan is to modify existing regulatory measures to encourage the development of affordable housing. One of the associated strategies with that is to rezone for densities necessary to facilitate the production of moderate income housing. One thing to recognize, the city can certainly rezone to smaller sizes. with the hope that that will bring homes that cost less. However, the market drives the price. And so we acknowledge that housing values are driven by the market regardless of the zone. This property, we also look at our parks, open space, urban trails. This parcel is within the service area of both Zollinger Park and Brager Park, and portions are within the Alma Lenhart Park and Brookside Park service areas. It is also within the service area of the Logan Aquatics Center and the Logan Soccer Complex. And by service area, a bunch of planners that work in parks and recreation calculate how far it is reasonable to expect people will go to reach a certain type of park. The service area for a larger park, like Zollinger Park or Von Bear Park, is 1 mile. The service area for a smaller park, like Alma Lenhart, that one is a half a mile. And the service area for neighborhood parks is 1/4 of a mile, I think. I should have had my,
You're right, it says it on there.
okay.
Yep.
This area is also, 100 West is also part of the Cache Bikeway Roadside Pathway. And I think 100 West is striped, isn't it, Ryan? Or did we not stripe that one? Because that's part of the county.
It's because it's a county road, they would have striped.
Yeah, okay.
So that it's striped.
Okay. We also look at our master plans for water acquisition, and then culinary water. We look at our master plans for wastewater treatment and for wastewater collection. And the way that our development plans meet those master plans, the developer, when he goes to develop, not at the point of rezone, but at the point of development, then he will contribute water to the city for culinary water, which meets that 40-year water right plan. For the wastewater, the culinary water system and the wastewater treatment for both wastewater and the culinary water system, they will pay an impact fee at the time a structure is built. So that's how new growth buys into our existing structure, and it allows to go towards what we've already built for new growth and to help us expand our system for new growth. We also look at Chapter 10.5, which talks about sensitive areas. And this property has some sensitive areas in it. There's non-developable area, which is jurisdictional wetlands. In some areas of the city, we have steep slopes, which means that the rise or fall of the land is equal to 30% or greater over a horizontal distance of 50 feet or greater measured perpendicular to the contour lines. Natural waterways or open water, including but not limited to rivers, creeks, or streams. And this does show that there's open water on this plan, and there are some wetlands. We also have on the use chart, and I'm not going to go through the use chart, but we have the entire use chart, but we do have the use chart attached to the packet that shows the column for the ag uses and the column for the R16 district. And there's also area regulations between R16 and ag. Conditions are that the council is the body that will make the final decision. Prior to making a recommendation to City Council, the Planning Commission must schedule and hold a public hearing. And then also the applicant will meet all applicable city, state, federal laws, codes, rules, approval by the city of any application submitted or paperwork does not alleviate the owners and or their agents from their responsibility to understand and conform to local, state, and federal laws. Providence City's approval is not intended to and cannot be construed to allow any laws to be violated. And even though I talk about approval in this, I want to reiterate, this will be a recommendation tonight, not an actual zone change. To highlight just a couple of things, uses that are different in or not uses, but area regulations that are different between the ag and the R16. Agriculture, in fact, this property isn't big enough, I don't think, to build a structure, a home on it, because in an ag, you need 5 acres. And so no matter what happens, we would probably have to see a rezone of this property to get residential use. The R16 requires a minimum lot size of 6,000 square feet. Now, developers can go up from there, but they can't go below that. And then of course, with the number of units, if it was a true 5-acre parcel and had 1 unit on it, that would be 0.20 units per acre, because you got to have 5 acres to get 1 unit. If it was R16, then you can have 5.5 units per acre. Biggest reasons, of course, the lot size and the lot width. Agricultural properties require a lot width measured at the setback line, a minimum of 150 feet, and residential R16 lets you go down to 60 feet. So, and then the rest is talking about setbacks. The biggest difference in the setback on the R16 is that the interior side yard is 7.5. An interior side yard in an ag would be 10, and a street side yard would be 20 in the ag and 15 in the R16. Other than that, everything is very similar, except for those interior side yards. So, any questions from the commission?
Well, we'll probably have some later when we
I
discuss
I
it
do have
more.
a question. Or should I wait?
I figure we can wait and let them hear the comments, and then we'll get back.
Okay,
Thank you. Scott.
thank you.
Appreciate that. Okay, so we'll give some time now in the public hearing for comments, and we'll start with Melanie Reese.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm not sure my questions are applicable to a hearing because I've never been to a hearing yet, but I have 4 questions. I live in the Brookside community. My backyard backs onto Marlon Hoff's field, and this field is next to Marlon's. So I just have some questions from my experience living there. Understanding 6,000 square feet per home, do you know how many homes they are planning on? Builders are planning? And
I don't know that we can answer that, because once they're given that zoning, they can put whatever number of houses would fit. So if you're wondering how many would fit on that lot,
20, so, yeah. So like approval from the Army Corps comes after the city council approves. Is that how that works? I mean, have they been approved by the Army Corps of Engineers? It is
no,
wetlands.
because we're just talking about a rezoning right now. I don't
Okay.
think that would relate to
So
this
like-
yet.
So city council.
Go ahead, Ryan.
Some of those, and if you'll just move your mic up so it picks up on you. There you
Okay.
go. So some of that, the rezone would come as the outward envelope of what's possible. So that's the outward envelope of what's possible. Then they would come back, and to this body, you would have a preliminary plat that would review prior to them actually having any lots available. So this This is just moving towards the going from how many is allowed now to what the outward envelope of a possibility would be with the new zone, and then that preliminary plat would come to actually show you some of the answers for the next one, and then before they could construct, then they'd have to make and clear some of those hurdles. So this is the first of probably some of those hurdles. So
Okay.
you're on the very start end of the question.
Didn't want to be the start.
No, great questions. But anyway, just to kind of give you an idea that there will be some other procedural steps after
Okay.
this.
I think my questions are probably for later on in the process then. I have questions about where the access will be, like, will it be off of 100 West?
Yeah, none of that's been
that.
decided because they'd have to,
And what will happen to the springs,
right.
so, okay, yeah, I will save my questions then till
Okay,
later. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah, so this is just about the rezoning. Once they start to develop the area, they would have to follow all the city and state codes, and they would have to draw up their plans and things. So this is just to rezone it right now, but thank you, appreciate that. Okay, Danny McFarland.
Danny McFarland, good evening. So thanks for your time. I am the applicant, Stack Built. We're developers, home builders. So the reason for the rezone request is just fairly simple. I mean, when we build homes, the total cost of if a home is 600,000, typically 25-30% of that cost is land. And so, getting 12 or 6,000 square foot lots, would drastically reduce that cost. And our target would be to try to build a nice home, that looks really nice, and it's has a garage, and 2,000 square feet, 2,500 square feet for right around 500,000 or maybe a little bit under. The idea would be to capture some of these young families that live in townhomes that would like to stay in Providence, and there's really not that product in Providence as far as like upper fours, $400,000 range. This is, I know it's just a rezone, but our concept to the max that we can see that would be possible with a PUD would be 12 lots, just because of the open space requirement and the road requirement. So really this is, just the intent is to make a piece of property that's usable, and with the pond, it really makes it difficult to use this property. There's also R16 to the, Brookside to the north and east, and to the 55 plus neighborhood to the east and the south. And even there's similar density in the older retirement community to the direct south. So it's a very similar zone that exists on multiple sides. So yeah, that's really the reason why we're doing it. Thought I'd just introduce that to the Planning Commission. So,
Good.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Danny, appreciate it. Okay, Ashton McFarland, did you want to say anything? Nope, okay. Lance Parker.
Good evening, I'm Lance Parker. I am the listing agent on the property, so I'm here to answer questions on behalf of the seller. She's older and lives in Pocatello, so making the drive down isn't easy for her. But if there's questions you have that I can't answer, she's standing by her phone if we need to call her. So that's why I'm here.
Okay, all right, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Okay, Debbie? I know who you are now.
I know. How are you?
Good.
So my concern and the neighborhood's concern from several people we've talked to is the open space. Like, it was slated as a park. There's open water, there's stream, there's wildlife, all kinds of wildlife, deer, ducks, all the things, swans, whatever. How is that going to be protected? That's what we're asking. Like, can it be protected if it's rezoned?
Okay.
I lied. And the deer.
Okay, well, I appreciate that question. I think Scarlett addressed that a little bit. There is a certain part that has to be preserved, correct? Obviously not all of it, because you can't build 12 homes and protect all of it, but there is a certain part, because it's wetlands, that does need to be protected, and I'm sure that'll be part of our discussion maybe later, but.
So is the plan 12 homes?
Well, there is no set plan yet. That's kind of what we talked about. But Danny mentioned, as the builder, that that's kind of what they're looking at, the possibility of maybe 12 homes. I don't want to misstate that, but yeah, so. All right. Thank you, Debbie. So Cindy Diamond.
Well, this is my first time being here since I lived in Providence for 40 years, and now my whole family lives here. My concern, I want development. I'm for that. I just don't want condos and apartments going in this area. And sometimes I hear that they're going to rezone, and then later on we find out there's apartments and there's condos. So that is my biggest concern, is if there is going to be lots with housing, that's fine. I'm all for that. But I don't want it to be all of a sudden rezoned, and then the developer decides to change it to do condos and apartments, and we're not preserving Providence for what it's supposed to be.
Good, thank you. To maybe respond to that, can you put a condo or a townhouse on a R16?
It does allow for single-family attached, but you have to meet the minimum lot size, which would be really difficult to do with a townhome situation, because townhomes are broken up into lots, and so are condos. And if their minimum lot size is not what the minimum lot size on here is, then it would be difficult to do. But they could do twin homes. They could do something like that easily.
And that's what I'm trying to protect, is that from happening.
Including the twin homes.
Yeah, I'd rather
Okay.
have a home.
Yeah.
There's people that want homes, and they want, affordable homes, but they're selling. I mean, I have 2 kids now that have bought homes in Providence, so it does work.
Sure. Great, thank you. Appreciate that. Okay, Jody Robbins? Is that? I don't have a comment on this one. That's right, you'd be, okay, good. Sorry, you didn't have a comment at all. I should look, huh? Thank you. And Joyce Larson.
I have to disagree with Danny, however. I think I might not be quoting you exactly, but you said something about putting the land to good use, right? Okay, I disagree. I've lived in Providence for 55 years, and there's a reason I wanted to stay in Providence. But over time, I have seen Providence City lose its value of green space and how important green space can be. Debbie touched on that a little bit. Every day I look out my window and see the beautiful mules and the beautiful deer and the birds, and I talk to them, and that's my solace. I know I'm being very selfish. I bought that property that I haven't even lived in it a year yet, and they're already talking about taking away my green space and turning it into homes. And my feeling is there's nothing more beautiful, because look at Providence, how it has grown with homes. I mean, we have so many homes and now such little green space. And that wasn't how the city started out to be. And I realize change happened. And I'm not naive enough to know that when I built my home there, next to the horse pasture, that someday it would be developed. But I had no idea it would be within 9 months of me moving into that home. And like I say, a bit selfish, but I really feel strongly about keeping green space so that we can all enjoy the wildlife in the green space. That's my I have many questions, but thank you for your work and explaining everything, because I didn't realize this was so preliminary. But as we go forward, I'm sure there'll be more questions.
Sure.
Thank you.
Great, thank you. Okay, that's everybody we had on the list. Was there any? come, that's all right. Come to the microphone and state your name, please.
I'm Caroline Mayo. I think that you gentlemen are kind of in a tight spot here because I know that you're under a lot of pressure to build homes and to have homes made available that are affordable. And this land is a prime spot right next to Providence Elementary and the charter school in River Heights Elementary. And I think that building on this 3-acre lot would be really beautiful for the homes going in. However, I think it's too bad that it's being shot for 6,000 square feet. If the lots were a little bit bigger, if it were less than 12 homes, and it would allow for more green space and more beautiful landscaping, more walkways, more accessible sidewalk. I mean, just that's saying walkways again. But it would preserve the beauty of the space a little bit more instead of the only place being protected is the wetlands. And minimum wetlands, I'm sure that amount, whatever the minimum amount is, that much will be protected. So I think building on this lot wouldn't be a hardship. It would be amazing for the families being there. But the 6,000 square feet is so small for the beauty of that area. And it was mentioned last year we had a peacock, and that was so exciting. I substitute for all the schools in the valley, and we had at River Heights Elementary, the class that I happened to be in that day, there was a conversation between students about the peacock in the area. And we had some time where the plans had run out and we learned about peacocks and geese, because geese love to nest in that area, and the ducks that are there. And they learned all about how they can cohabitate and how they work together. And it was amazing. And seeing that peacock was so beautiful. So having homes there, especially like Danny said, it is difficult to build on this lot because it's too small for a house. It's only being 3 acres, and the wetlands also. So I appreciate his courage of making the effort, because I know that permits are expensive and it's under contract, everything. But being 6,000 square feet, even 12 homes, that's not a lot of shared room for the critters that call that place home too. And there are homes available in Visionary I forgot what it's called. In Vineyard, there are homes available too, and there's more apartments going in over there. And the land behind the Stake Center that's across the street, well, it's a little bit, like maybe half a block away from that area. The land behind the Stake Center was sold too. I believe, I'm not sure, but I believe Visionary was the buyer of that Hammond land, and that's going to be developed too. So all that green space, that's going to be probably apartments and townhomes too. So this area being rezoned for single family homes, that's amazing. I really appreciate that. That is the goal, instead of more apartments and townhomes. But I wish it were just bigger square footage, bigger square footage lots, so it would be less homes and more green space and preserve the beauty of that area. So I'm not against building, it's just cramming so many houses in there as we can, like minimum square footage. What can we do to make it the smallest possible lot? And Danny had a really good point of making that more affordable, which is true. That's true. 6,000 square foot lots would bring the price down. So you gentlemen are in a tight spot, because the beauty of that area and the wildlife that call that place home, and we're trying to share it with the neighborhoods and the people moving in, but they've been there for so long that place has been beautiful for animals. And I'm with a cycling club, and a lot of cyclists love to take breaks there because it's so beautiful, and they make that a landmark spot to meet too. So I'm not against building. I recognize that people need homes, and like somebody else mentioned, her whole family's here in Providence, which is wonderful. We love families. We're a family-friendly state. but the square footage being so small, it doesn't allow for the beauty and shared space that Providence is.
Okay, thank you. Appreciate the comment. Did everybody have a chance that wanted to comment? Okay. Then I think that would conclude our,
We have to,
yes, that's right. Thank you.
this is a comment from Emily Watterson. Dear Planning Commission, as a resident who lives near this location, I ask that this parcel not be rezoned for residential. Here are my reasons. The pond at the front of the property is the part-time home of many waterfowl and land animals. Many pairs of geese and ducks will nest here, allowing them to have and raise babies that many neighbor walkers love to stop and see. You can see marmots throughout the year in the field, allowing homes will remove their homes. Disturbing wildlife can have messy and unexpected results. See studies on the Kabab deer population and Yellowstone wolves for examples. Building here will affect the water table more than you can guess. My house is toward the vineyard side of Spring Creek Parkway. With each new development, both of the vineyard neighborhoods and the Springs neighborhood, we were assured that the water tables would not be affected and that there were plans to put in place. That is not what we are experiencing. The course of the creek has dramatically changed over the past few years. The creek beyond my house flows fuller now than the first 3 years we lived there, since the first phase of vineyard. The water that flows from vineyard's previous fields is nonstop throughout the year into the corner of the creek in my backyard. It has eroded all the ground surrounding the root systems of the trees where the water flows in. There is a pipe in a nearby portion of the creek that now continually drops water into the creek where it previously dried up toward the end of summer. Also, the ground surrounding the pipe has become boggy and marshy as water can't enter the pipe. Pipe uses the path of least resistance and simply flows next to the pipe. This will continue to erode away the portion of our and our neighbor's backyard. According to city employees, this pipe doesn't show up on the design and maps for when this neighborhood was built, so we have no idea where it starts and what it's feeding into, but the water flow coming out of and near the pipe increases each year as more previous dry irrigated land is converted into houses. Again, I ask you not to rezone this parcel. Thank you, Emily Watterson.
Okay, thank you. All right, I think we've heard all of the comments then, those that wanted to make comments during the public hearing. So can I just close that? I can't remember if we decided. I can just close that, right? Okay. So I will
consent to you closing it.
Thank you.
I'll vote in favor of it.
With Joe's support, I'm going to close the public hearing. So we'll move on to the next item, which is a legislative item, which refers us back to what we've been talking about in the public hearing. The Planning Commission will review, discuss, and may make a recommendation to the City Council regarding a rezone request of parcel 020920049, a 3-acre parcel located in the general area of 370 North, 100 West. The property is currently zoned agricultural, and the applicant is requesting R16. All right. Scarlett, do you have anything else you wanted to add? You pretty well covered, I think, everything. Very good. Okay. So I'll open it up to comments from the council then. And Julie's not here. So Bob Perry is a voting member tonight. So the 5 of us. But any thoughts or comments then about this request for a rezone?
I have one.
Okay.
For Scarlett. So, you said that it was in the general plan, proposed to be a park. If that's not a park, is there another parcel nearby that would maybe take its place?
Park property? Is that what you're asking for, if there's other park property in the area?
No, I'm asking if there would be another property that would be replace that as a park. So another park.
Well, we've actually acquired some property over the past several years, not in this area. Because in all honesty, we've got a pretty good park selection down in this kind of central north area of the city. But we've got property along 100 East, south of 400 South, that we are currently developing a trail down across that property so that people can walk down that trail instead of having to walk along that narrow portion of 100 East as it goes up the Dugway to meet with Canyon Road. I think that's
We've
2.5
doubled Alma Lenhart
acres.
Park. That's 2.5.
And
doubled Alma
we've
Lenhart.
added to Alma Lenhart Park, which is just right over here. We've purchased property up on the east, southeast area, which is in the Highlands subdivision. Ryan, remember how many acres?
Have about 8 acres.
About 8 acres there. We've got plans for that. We have actively pursued several other pieces.
Thompson Field would have been
Thompson
another 6
Fields,
acres would
yeah.
have been purchased after the general plan.
Right, Thompson Field, which is over here, an extension of Zollinger Park. The parking lot for it is off of 100 South. We've got the pickleball courts over there. We're working now on the path that will connect to the existing path. The landscapers are coming to do some work, not on the entire part, but on about half of it.
5 of the acres.
Yeah. So so that park's been acquired since the general plan, and we continue to try and work with property owners as we can to acquire more property, but sometimes they just don't want to sell to us. Is that what you wanted to know, John?
Yeah, thanks.
Scarlett, could I ask a question, please? I'm just curious, on the property to the north and a little bit of the east, the Hoth property, is there any activity on that? Is there any discussions of what that might be, what might happen with that property?
No, they haven't talked to me about that property specifically. They actually did come through Planning Commission on the property on the north side of Spring Creek Parkway, where there's a fourplex already there, to get permission to build another fourplex, and which they were granted, but they haven't continued with that. So that's the only development activity that I know about for the Hoth property.
So it potentially could, if something was at some point to be done, just like this one, at some point, it reached a point of being an opportunity for development that maybe on the other property, maybe some area for a park or something at that point. It all depends. The market drives the price of the property, which drives the decisions at times of what the city can do for attempting to acquire property or individuals donating it. So I was just curious if there has been any discussions yet on the
No.
others. So there's still opportunities there. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Other comments or?
One for Scarlett.
Yes.
There was a comment made about erosion of a pipe that wasn't taking water. Will that be looked at? Can it be looked at, or?
It sounds like Public Works has been working on that.
I can tell you Public Works has looked at it, and so have I.
Okay. So somebody has.
Yep.
Thank you.
Can it be resolved?
Everything can be resolved at some points. But some of the things we've been working on in that area is the prevalence of beavers in blocking culverts. So that has backed up water that would have normally flowed. That's been cleared out this last week.
Yeah.
And so some of that drainage is due to other forces. But there is water that does flow from the vineyard They do have a land drain through the entire area. That's likely this property will probably have some type of land drain to be able to facilitate. I mean, it is an area of high groundwater. We'll see what happens this year. We may have a very low groundwater year this year, but it's not typical. But yes, we've looked at that. It's not close enough to a house that it's ready to damage, but there is repairing areas that could be worked on. So, yeah.
And so what the concern, it seemed like in the letter, was with putting homes there, it would create a larger problem. Can it be dealt with if there were more homes built there?
Well, this would drain into probably a different, I mean, that concerns farther up, closer to the what's that? Yeah, actually Spring Creek. I was thinking the visionary, the development up there. It's Vineyard. It's right close to there. So we are talking another city block away, so it won't discharge in the same spot. I can't tell you the amount of water that might flow out of this that might drain it. I mean, obviously, this is a introductory one. If this is denied, then all the rest of the dominoes don't get taken care of, don't get looked at. If this gets approved, then there's another domino, there's another red tape, there's different things. As Danny knows, this is not the first step. So, but if it's not the right step, then you should recommend that. If this is the right step, then recommend that. I mean, from staff, we're not telling you which one. We're just trying to tell you there will be some steps that if it's a high groundwater, then they'll need to resolve that, and they'll need to present a plan to do that. They'll have to do a geotech to determine the water level and what's there. Before they build, they'll have to do several different pieces of the puzzle. So just because you recommend won't make it so that houses go there tomorrow.
Has DNR been contacted about relocating the beaver?
We have contacted individuals about relocating the beavers, yes. And that's being worked on.
So it's 3 acres. Is there any, do we know what percentage of that needs to be preserved as wetland?
Well, that depends on the delineation of the wetland and how much it would, how many, I don't know, unless, has it been delineated? I didn't think so.
We don't.
And then of course you've got the open water as well. So I'm not sure how much of that non-developable property there is, but there is non-developable on this 3 acres for sure.
Right. But we don't know how much.
No, it hasn't been measured out.
So if somebody can do the math or figure that out.
Well,
better
he
than I can.
said 12 homes.
Right. So if there were
and
12
it's
lots.
5.5 homes per acre. There's 3 acres, right? So that's 16.5 homes possible. He's doing 12, so 4.5 homes, lots are not developable.
That's why we have John on this. Thank you. That answered my question.
But I don't know if that includes roads or.
Well, that's true. You got to have roads too. So. Okay. So a plan of leaving 3/4 of the 3 acres as open space or wetland.
3/4 of an acre.
Right. Sorry, that's what I meant to say.
It's just under a
3/4 of 1
third.
acre out of the 3 acres.
Yeah,
Right.
just under a third of the property be left as open space.
Okay. And I know it came up about making the lots larger and putting less homes, but you would still use the same amount of space that could be fenced in by people, the lots would just be larger, right? And so you would still only have 3/4 of an acre open space, I assume, if you did that. I mean, that's without,
You can answer.
yeah, Danny, yes, if you would, please.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they're bigger lots, it really, with the cost of the land and the cost of improvements, it would be really hard to make it make sense. I mean, the seller wants, $600,000 for that 3 acres, so it's 200,000 an acre. So the density is really what makes it. I mean, your price points of your lots, even at 6,000 square foot lots, the cost of the lots are 100,000. So that's just the cost of the land and the improvements. So if you do bigger lots, you'd probably be, pushing 200,000 for a lot. So
Yeah.
for a 12,000 square foot lot, if you just did those in half, that's kind of the math. So, and that would be really hard to pencil in that area for $200,000 lots. So.
Okay, good. Thank you, Danny.
But your point is pretty correct in that larger lots, there would still be that 3/4 of an acre. Larger lots wouldn't make more open space.
It'd make bigger yards,
Bigger
but they could
yards.
fence their yards or whatever. It wouldn't create more open space
Right.
necessarily, right? Okay.
There would be more green yards and green.
Well, right.
Could
They
be,
could
or
have
larger houses.
Yeah, there'll be larger houses.
larger houses on larger lots.
Larger
But right.
prices.
Okay.
Is it comfortable to say something? Since the 3/4 of an acre has come up, or is that?
Well, normally now it's just us, but I guess I think we'll leave it at that. But thank you. Yeah. So any other thoughts or comments,
I did have one comment.
please?
Ryan, would you put up the zoning map?
Zoning, just zoning, yes.
Just the zoning.
That's the property.
Okay. So the green parcel that's above the pink parcel's the retirement center.
That's correct.
And so when Danny says that east of that is the R16, that's the brown that's directly east of the agricultural parcel.
Correct.
But the other parcels around it, including Marlon Haas, Marlon and Lynn's property is currently zoned R112.
That's correct.
I just wanted to make sure I understood it. I happen to be very oriented to allowing property owners to do with their property what they want to do. And I can imagine that it's nice to live next to the green space. If the city doesn't want to acquire that as a park and preserve it, then I think can be sold and it's within either the R112 or the R16 area already. So making a move to either of those is not extreme. And it's unfortunate to lose that, but that's a function of the city not having the money to make it into a park, and that's the legislative bodies, the city council's decision on that. So
It almost sounded like they didn't really, I mean, the audience didn't really care if it was a park, just open space in general.
yeah, but I have to tell you, I represented a gravel pit down in Pleasant View that had to be fenced for safety purposes. And the citizens down there were very upset because that was their horseback riding area, that was their motorcycle, their four-wheeler. But it wasn't their property. It happened to be my client that was a gravel pit operator. And they wanted to tell the gravel pit operator what they could do with the property because they were taking away their recreational property. Well, it wasn't their recreational property, it was private property. And I think sometimes we get that lost in the subject. If they really wanted to preserve that, then they should get the city fathers down in Pleasant View to purchase it and make it into a park. This is my own personal philosophy.
Thank you, Joe. All right, and the city, because on the master plan it was hoped that that land, or part of that land anyway, would be a city park, but the cost was too high to be able to do that, I guess.
I would probably be over double what we've paid for any other park by
Per acre
per
or
acre.
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did want to make one more comment. I'm not under any pressure to rezone this to maximum housing. The comment that the citizen made that we're under a lot of pressure, I'm not. I don't know about you guys, but I just make a recommendation. I don't make the ultimate decision. Scarlett was very clear on that. That's the city council's decision. I have no pressure. I don't lose road money if this doesn't get rezoned.
Okay, thank you. Other thoughts?
I don't have any other comments. I understand the feelings of some of the neighbors around and so forth, and the open space, the wildlife, all of those things are great. But I also understand the aspect of if we attempt to go to larger lots, the price of the land, it just doesn't work out. It doesn't. You're asking too much there. Also, I would stress that this is preliminary. It's the start of something. Could it be done? Because maybe we could make it, the builder looks at it, maybe we could make it work if we were able to get this zone to be able to have X number of lots. To go with bigger lots, we defeat the whole thing of trying to have something closer to affordable. And so I feel for the developers that try to make that work and try to address those issues. I would tell you that the builder here is probably one of the best, certainly one of the much better ones that we have that work in Providence and so forth. It's a great reputation, and he's done a lot of really good work. And I think Danny McFarland is very sensitive to the things that you say and the options that he has. And I think he does a great job. I've not done any work with Danny, anything like that. He's not offered me a free sandwich or anything after the meeting. I'm just telling you, we've had others that, yes, did pull bait and switches. We've had some things like that years ago. And I understand the frustration of that. But this man hasn't. This man has done a good job everywhere he's done a project that I've been involved with. And I would imagine that would continue. And we need more housing. We need more housing, and it's going to be. And so that's just my perspective of where things are at right now. The other option always is, and maybe for those that really like the open space and the idea of a park, is maybe begin to put together a neighborhood group and see if you can assist in raising funds or getting the Hoths or one of the others parcels where there's a fair amount of property still, that maybe they would do something that way, that would keep some more of that. That's the other thing I always look at is if everybody wants to keep it, whether it's for their bike riding and motorcycles and things like that, you can always get together and buy the property, and then it can stay that way. But the people that own the property have a right to sell it, and the people that buy it have a right to do what they want with it as well. So anyway, those are just my thoughts.
Okay, thank you. So I like to try to simplify things. I'm kind of a simple guy. So I'm looking at three options. One, it becomes a park, which is how it was originally planned on the master plan, but the amount is too expensive, and the city and the owner of the property now has an offer double what the city could offer, and so it'd be awfully hard unless we fundraise the other 300,000. It would be awfully hard to be able to make that work or convince her to take half the money that she can get in another way. Another one is to leave it ag just like it is, but I'm not sure that's realistic, and there's other lots around it that are going to be developed eventually. And so to tell this person, we know you have this lot and it's beautiful, but and it's worth a lot of money, but you got to leave it ag, that'd be pretty hard to do that. And then putting homes on it, whether that's R16 or R112, sounds like from Danny, R112 might not be feasible because of how expensive each particular lot would be, even though it would create bigger lots, which would be more open, well, bigger lots. I can't say more open space because I don't know that there really would be. It would just leave the same 3/4 of an acre open for the wetlands. So it seems like it's one of those three. And the ag probably isn't realistic with other lots already zoned differently around that lot. And that being a park probably, unless somebody's willing between now and when the city makes a decision, the city council, to fundraise $300,000, that's probably not a feasible thing to do either. And so it seems to me that building homes on it is probably the right thing to do. Now, whether it's R6 or R12, but the other two options to me don't seem realistic. So that's my thought on it. But Bob, do you have comments?
No, I'm good.
No more comments, Michael?
None for me, thank you.
John?
Yeah, I got one of my frustrations with the process is we have to rezone without a vision of what's going to happen later. And I know that costs money to plan and design, but if you could see kind of what the plan was, it might be more amenable. But without that, I just don't know if I can say what to do.
Okay. Thank you, John. Joe?
No further comment.
Okay, so we're here then to make a recommendation or not. We may make a recommendation to the city council where the actual decision would be made. Ours is just a recommendation. So I'll leave it if anybody'd like to make a motion or has any other thoughts.
I would make a motion. Give me just 1 second here. I would make a motion that the Planning Commission, make a recommendation to the City Council regarding rezoning parcel 020920049, a 3-acre parcel located in the general area of 370 North, 100 West, which is currently zoned agriculture, to R16, subject to the findings of facts, conclusions, and conditions as set forth in the staff report, that we approve that. Make that recommendation, that we make that recommendation.
Okay, we have a motion by Michael
I'll second it.
and we have a second by Joe. Any other comments before we vote? Because I have had one thought as you were making your recommendation about whether it's there's R6 around there, right? Or R16, and then there's also R112 zoned but not built on near that, so it has both. And the comment was that by Danny that R112 wouldn't be feasible because the lots would be too expensive. So I'm just talking to myself now, and the rest of you are listening, but maybe they're asking too much for the lots or for the piece of land. I don't know. I don't know what the going rate is right now. I paid a lot less than that for my lot a long time ago, but maybe they're asking too much, and maybe it should go down so they could put R112s there. I don't know. Just a thought before we vote.
Well, I'm looking at it and I gotta think the property taxes have gotta be expensive because it's agricultural in our zoning, but it doesn't qualify for greenbelt under the county code because it requires 5 acres. So I couldn't afford the property.
Okay, no other comments? Then we have a motion, and we had Joseph Chambers made a second. So those in favor of making a recommending to the city council, who has the final decision, that this be rezoned to an R112, say aye.
R16.
Oh, sorry. Thank you. I had R112 in the head here. So make the recommendation to the city council that this be rezoned to an R16, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Nay.
Okay. I opposed as well. So I think I wanted to think more about the R112. But so we had 3 in favor and 2 opposed. So thank you. Thank you for your time. And we'll move on to the next item. And you may not want to sit through the next one, so we understand. Thank you. Okay, item number 4, rezone of parcel 0209500031. The Planning Commission will review, discuss, and may set for a public hearing a rezone request. So we're just talking about whether we want to have a public hearing for parcel 0209500031 located in the general area of 96 North, Maine. This property is currently zoned as an R112. The applicant is requesting mixed use. And in our agenda, there were a couple of drawings, or maybe it was a separate email, I guess, that had a couple of drawings of the concept, which John would be happy about because here's somebody looking at a rezone and they gave you some drawings. Which, anyway, before we make comments, I guess, Scarlett, would you address that, please?
So Jody is here that he can answer questions. In the summary of key issues, so since this is a rezone, we're looking at the same state code, same city code. The current zone is R112, which is residential detached, minimum lot size 12,000 square feet. The general plan is white on that map. And again, there's a little bit of a difference between the general plan map and the general plan scenarios. The general plan map anticipates that the zoning would stay R112 because it doesn't anticipate a change to the zoning. The scenarios, it shows, and the developer is requesting mixed use. A couple of main differences. R112 is established to provide for single family residential type uses. Home businesses may be allowed as permitted or conditional uses as shown on the use chart. The mixed-use district is established to encourage transition between zones and to stimulate economic development by providing unique planning environment that combines retail, commercial, office, and residential development in a pedestrian-friendly manner. This district encourages creative development and site. It includes a mixture of uses with no one land use type being a constant, dominant, or prevailing use. Of the uses, which can include commercial or retail, commercial, office, and residential development, included in the development, no one use can be more than 50% of the entire development. Residential development is required. So, they couldn't come in and do a complete commercial complex and call it mixed use. There does have to be a residential component of it. We use the same. Okay. We use the same use chart, and so there's nothing. We have not set up any zoning guidelines specific to the historic district. It's the same setbacks, same height restraints, same everything. So we don't have any extra guidelines in the historic district that would either encourage or prevent this zoning change. The Historic Preservation Commission reviews, and now this is the Historic Preservation Commission. We do have a Historic Preservation Commission, and they review and make recommendations on applications regarding alterations, change of use, or new construction involving historic sites and properties subject to the following. Such review and recommendations shall be binding only upon buildings and properties which are listed on a locally designated site register, and any reviews and recommendations must be compatible with the current United States Secretary of Interior standards for rehabilitation guidelines for rehabilitating historic buildings. This property is not listed on a locally designated register. We don't have a locally designated register in Providence, nor is it listed in the historic walking tour, a stroll through history, a walking tour of Providence City. The developer provided the following statement, and actually I'm going to let Jody summarize his statement for you. Again, this packet that I'm looking at that Ryan has on the screen, it was part of the agenda. So you can see it from there. Under the conclusions, and again, you're just recommending, you're not the, oh, I must have left my conditions off. I apologize.
No, it's down there further, isn't it?
Oh, yeah, it's cut at the very end. So
Yeah.
the conclusions, we do have the zoning, the city divided into zoning districts. The city council is the legislative body. The planning commission is reviewing this request tonight. After reviewing the request but making a recommendation, the planning commission will schedule and hold a public hearing. So that would be the next step. The zoning districts do include R112 and MXD, which is mixed, and the application is consistent with the requirements in 10-1-5. The general plan initiatives, this one, while the future rezoning, it talks about the difference between the two maps. And as you can see on page 7 of 9, the top part of that, the top half is taken, are snippets taken from the rezoning of existing districts. And you can see where the star is on that map, and that's where this location is. Since this is all white, even it doesn't tell us in our guideline what all white means, but we've just said that it is not indicating any change to the zone. The snippet below that, that is from that scenarios map that we refer to in the general plan. And you can see the star there is within the area. It's kind of hard to see, but that is the area that's designated as Providence Downtown Core. And you can read there what the downtown core is. And then it's also got the 5 to 10 minute mixed use nodes around it in those 2 dashed lines that circle that property. If you consider rezoning this, it would promote General Plan Initiative number 4, which is a multimodal city and encourages a variety of transportation modes, biking, walking, driving, to encourage multimodal transportation. Development and mixed use districts are required to provide bicycle parking, bicycle repair and maintenance stations. They're also required to provide electric vehicle parking. On the moderate income housing plan, objective number 1, again, we talked about this in the previous one, that encourages zoning changes for densities necessary to facilitate the production of moderate income housing. And once again, it's important to remember, regardless of zoning, the market drives the cost of housing. It does also support objective number 4, which is to adopt new measures to encourage development of affordable housing with the associated strategy, create or allow for and reduce regulations related to multifamily residential dwellings compatible in scale and form with detached single-family residential dwellings located within walkable communities and with residential or mixed-use zones. So it meets several things. That doesn't mean that you need to change it, but it does meet some things in our general plan. And then on this one is within the geographic level of service area of Uptown Park, which is where the softball field is, which is it's back door to right field. And that's a neighborhood park, 2 regional parks, Zollinger Park and Von Bear Park. It's also included in the Safe Routes to School plan. And at the time a zoning clearance is issued for the primary structure, park impact fees will be collected for each unit within the structure. The transportation plan, the streets adjacent to this development are improved streets with curb, gutter, park strips, sidewalks, and striped bicycle lanes. At the time a zoning clearance is issued, street impact fees will be collected for each unit within the structure. And then the same thing that we talked about with the 40-year water right acquisition plan, the wastewater plans, the stormwater plan. Although the stormwater plan, they will provide stormwater facilities as they build this. The culinary water system plan, the wastewater plans, and the 40-year plans, water would be dedicated at the time and of the building or at the time the plat's recorded, and the impact fees will be collected at the time the building permits are issued for each structure. Again, we talk about sensitive areas. This particular piece of property is one of the few that doesn't have any sensitive areas on it that I could find. So, and then in the packet was also included the use chart comparing the R112 and the mixed districts, and the area regulations chart comparing R112 and the mixed use districts. So our conditions, the council is the body that will make the final decision. Prior to making a recommendation to the city council, the planning commission must schedule and hold a public hearing, and then the applicant shall meet all applicable city, state, federal codes, rules, approval by the city of any application submitted or paperwork does not alleviate the owners and/or their agents from their responsibility to understand and conform to local, state, and federal laws. Providence City's approval is not intended to and cannot be construed to allow any laws to be violated. So, that's it.
Okay. Questions?
One
Bob?
quick question, Scarlett. The old tithing house right on the corner, would that be a sensitive area, considered a sensitive area?
No.
No.
It may or may not have a historic value, but it has not been put on so it's not a sensitive area. It may or may not have historic value,
That's what I meant.
but it's not
sorry.
listed on any register.
Mhm.
It's not listed on the National Historic Register. We don't have a local register. And so it's, it doesn't have any protections because of the historic district. It doesn't have any protections any different than any other piece of property in that area.
Thank you.
Okay.
Any other questions for Scarlett? Okay. Thank
Right.
you.
Thanks.
Oh, I got one more.
Oh, there we go.
My email or my information here shows two houses or two parcels. One of them is the Frank. Is that included in that?
No. Did I get their email, their parcel number in it, or what?
No, it's just the
This
one
is
picture has
Just one
Oh.
color.
shows that the same color, the green. But it's all inside the red rectangle. Is what we're talking about. correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, it's inside the red rectangle.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty.
Jody, would you like to make some comments? Awesome.
Did it work? I'm Jody. I'm the developer. Did it work? Does it work to have that presentation on these screens? Ah,
Yeah.
there they are. Look at that. So I'm here tonight just to give you guys a heads up on what I'm asking for, and then that way you have all the information that you could ever want before the public hearing. We're asking to have the parcel rezoned to mixed use from R112. The way this all started is I love Providence. I love biking around Providence. I love walking around Providence. I drive around Providence more than any of those, and I regret that, but that's just the way it is. But it started with a desire to create a pedestrian-friendly downtown destination in Providence. So where I started with that is obviously identified the piece of property and then went to the general plan to see what Providence expected in that area in the future. And from there, kind of created a plan to go with the mixed use zoning. So if you want to go to, we want to create a boutique downtown Providence. And on that previous slide, you saw some of the renderings of what we want to do. In order to meet the criteria of the Providence City General Plan, and this is the future land use section of the plan, we're asking for the mixed use zoning on the parcel. And this parcel specifically, we're asking for that because it's on Main Street and 100 North, which 100 North is the main artery from the west into Providence, but it's not so busy that it's uncomfortable to be on, like many of the roads, like the highway running down Logan Main Street or even the west end of Providence. Since the mixed use zoning covers such a wide variety of projects, types, and sizes, and I know how difficult your guys' decision is to make recommendations without having all the information. We've created the concept plan for the area that I want to share with you, of what we would build if we got the mixed use zoning. So on this, the size of the lot really is what's restrictive to the size of the building, because the mixed use zoning has very specific information about what parking is needed, and fitting buildings and parking really limits the size of what we can do there. But in my opinion, it limits it to the correct size of what should be there.
Can I ask you real quick, what is the size of that lot?
The size of that lot is, you would
it a-
ask that question.
I
I
looked
don't,
at it
it's about a
before.
half of an acre, I
Is it a
believe.
half? I thought it was a quarter, but I could be wrong.
Oh,
It says 0.44 on the-
0.44.
Yeah, 0.44.
Perfect. Thank you.
The Scarlett kind of stole my thunder on this one. This is just a snippet out of the Providence City general plan, and it's the future land usage framework. It kind of shows the location of the property, and the Providence City downtown core has only just one paragraph that describes what they want there, and it's a downtown Main Street style of commercial and office uses. The downtown designation recognizes the historical role of this area. The mixture of uses can be in a horizontal or vertical format, e.g., residential or office above retail, residential above office. Residential examples include downtown Provo, Ogden 25th Street, and downtown Murray. I kind of broke that down and into what we want to do with our project. The downtown Main Street style of commercial and office use. So each one of these big sentences is just a sentence from that description, and then I kind of say what we're planning to do to meet that section. So downtown Main Street style commercial and office uses, that requires mixed use zoning. Our concept will have local, and I would really want to emphasize local, community enhancing businesses on the main level, with affordable residential apartments on the second level. Businesses that we are seeking include a local cafe, boutique bakery, florist, and other community engaging businesses. These are things like hair salon, massage studio, nail spa, things that the community engages with, not just boring businesses. The downtown designation recognizes the historical role of the area, is the next sentence in the description of that. Our design will make people unfamiliar with the history of the area, assume that the buildings were built around the same time as the Old Rock Church. We love that. I love that historic feel. I love to pay tribute to that. Sections of the building will be inspired by historic Main Street buildings around the area. We actually plan to use architectural details and materials from the existing home on sections of the building to pay tribute to that property. I have a couple of snippets. We've inspected that home. In our opinion, the best part of the home is the exterior of it. It's a tiny home with a addition on it that isn't so great, and but the outside of the house has some really incredible soffit and fascia details that we would incorporate into some sections of our building. It also has a window arch detail that most people wouldn't notice, but that brick detail, we would pull that and the bricks themselves onto the new building to kind of pay tribute to that existing building. We want to reuse as much of the existing brick as possible. We show here some inspirations for our storefronts, which is kind of that old style Main Street USA storefront where lots of windows, lots of interaction with the community that's passing by. Moving on to the next sentence, the mixture of uses can be horizontal or vertical. We plan for community engaging retail / office space on the main level and affordable residential spaces above. The next section of the description of the downtown core is regional examples that they want to emulate are downtown Provo, Ogden 25th Street, and downtown Murray. I wasn't able to find pictures of downtown Murray, but I was able to find a lot of information about what do you want downtown Murray to be, put in your input, that kind of stuff. But here are pictures of Ogden 25th Street and downtown Provo side by side with pictures of what we're proposing. And I'll pause right here to kind of explain our pictures a little bit. That top picture of the Providence Town Square, that's from the middle of the intersection of Main Street and 100 East.
100
or
North.
100 North, and looking onto the corner of that parcel. The lower image is a little bit further up 100 North, looking back towards the property. So to me, I feel like in our concept, we've taken a lot of what makes these communities stand out even in Providence City's community or general plan and incorporated them into our plan. The next step that I looked at was the 6 key initiatives of Providence City as laid out in the 2020 general plan, and creating a sense of place. Again, this all started with a desire to have a downtown destination that was pedestrian friendly. I mean, we can bike to Macy's, we can bike to some of the restaurants, but very much so you're going to a place that's built for automobiles. Our boutique town square located in the core or in the downtown core will bring together local businesses in historical architectural inspired businesses or buildings. The combination of the local businesses, unique building design, and the characteristics of the surrounding area will create a unique experience that is only possible in Providence. And creating a sense of place is about making what Providence has unique. So the green infrastructure, we've actually gone through and in our plan, and we'll get to an overhead view of our plan in just a couple of slides, but our project includes a barrier, a 10-foot landscape barrier where it meets adjoining properties. This barrier provides separation from visual view, but just separation from the neighbors, as well as that would be planted with shrubs and trees, not so much grass, which the shrubs and trees use much less water. Our front park strip is a combination of paved areas and limited grass to further conserve water. Jefferson elm trees that provide shade to the grass areas and the building entrances will further add to the character of the property and the street. The Jefferson elm tree, if you guys aren't aware, the American elm was Main Street USA's tree, and then Dutch elm disease came through and wiped out American elms in tons of cities. In the National Mall, there was one tree that was immune to one American elm tree that was immune to Dutch elm disease, and they've created this Jefferson elm, which is a clone of all of those. So it's the most American elm tree that you can plant that is that's Dutch elm disease resistant, and some of the benefits of that tree, and I could get into this, but it doesn't really pop sidewalks like other trees. Has a high canopy that that is out of the way, so you can see businesses. It provides shade. There's a reason it was Main Street USA's
Basically a
tree.
smaller tree,
It's a large tree.
a large tree.
It gets large, so but it doesn't pop sidewalks or anything. Its roots don't jack sidewalks. We also, part of the green infrastructure is determining what we do with stormwater. We have an area designated for stormwater retention and would comply with all of the local codes to make sure that we manage our stormwater appropriately, and that when it enters the main stormwater system, that it's properly been retained and enters at the proper rate. Going on to the next slide, the fiscal responsibility. Our plan actually requires very little change to the current existing public infrastructure to support the development, and the life cycle costs of the project will be fully private. It's not going to be a burden to the city. The multimodal city, again, our main goal and inspiration and what started this whole thing was a desire to have a unique destination in Providence, with its location between two elementary schools, well, soon to be two elementary schools, next to that park. We felt that the pedestrian scale development was the best option for this location by placing the business entrances adjacent to the sidewalks. We have intentionally made access most conducive to biking and pedestrian traffic. To accommodate automobile traffic, all of the parking has been put in the rear of the project, so you don't see the parking when you're there. The parking that, as we've laid out in our plan, meets the Providence City Mixed Use Zoning Code, which requires 1.5 spaces per apartment and 1 space for every 250 square feet of commercial space. On the next slide, we get into economic development. The project meets the vision of Providence, of the future use of land in Providence as laid out by the general plan. And it results in additional income to Providence through taxes and improvement fees, again, with not really a burden to Providence going forward. And then lastly, the last initiative, the various housing opportunities. Our project offers a style of housing that currently is not available in Providence. It's having our boutique style 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment with high ceilings and upgraded historical inspired finishes and designs is what we want to offer. That kind of unique living experience of being above a commercial space. We anticipate the key renting demographic will be young professionals that want a unique space with little maintenance requirements. We plan for these to be affordable apartments, as affordable as apartments are in this valley, or as affordable as they can be. And our plan provides 6 affordable, very livable apartments in a space that currently has one house that is, in our opinion, is challenging at best to live in. There's each of our apartments is larger than that home, with a layout that's more conducive to how people live their lives now. Affordable housing, as you guys know, is very important in the current economic environment, and our plan provides just that. On the next slide, we get into our concept plan, and this is where I get really excited. So let me just explain it a little bit. We have Main Street on the left side, 100 North towards the top. So north is up on our plan. We have the one entrance for parking. You can see the parking stalls laid out on the perimeter of the property after the 10-foot landscape barrier to protect the neighbors' interest in their land and not be a burden to them. We have smaller buildings with access around them, so people, once they do park their car, can become pedestrian traffic and get through there. A couple of the items that we're wanting to add to utilize the space better, the alley between the buildings, we want to use that as kind of a dining alley. We actually have a big opening door coming from the one building into that, so it doesn't have to be used as that, but it can be used as that. And if it's not, we would set seating out there and use it as a place for people to congregate. We also, on the south side of the west building, we have a dining courtyard with a similar concept. Again, foot traffic can go all through there. We also have the retention area in the corner of the parking lot, the southeast corner of the parking lot. But just kind of wanted to show how the buildings lay out on the lot. Moving on to our next section, it's really important to me as a developer that we fit in with the neighbors, with what's going on around us. So fitting in with neighbors, I'll start with the current zoning. It allows for 35-foot tall buildings within 10 feet of the property line. We're planning on our plan. The main section of the buildings will be about 26 feet tall, with the front facade reaching up to 33 feet tall. But we're planning on holding those buildings and keeping them at least 25 feet from the property line of neighbors. And again, that's way in excess to what is allowed currently with its current zone. So we're doing much less.
I need to interrupt you for a second. You keep saying current zoning. Current zoning is R112.
Yes.
You're saying the current zoning R112 allows buildings at 35 feet high?
It sure does.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I was thinking you were maybe talking about the mixed use.
No.
Proposed zoning.
No, mixed use offers much taller, but our plan is for up to about 33 feet, which is less than what the R112 currently allows.
Okay. I
And
was confused.
yeah.
Thank you.
No, I'm very glad you asked. And R112 allows, it's a 10-foot side setback, where our plan has a 25-foot side setback from the neighbor. I've already talked about the outdoor dining areas, but how they will create a boutique experience and help the project to further create a unique sense of place for Providence. So going back to that first initiative. And then to further encourage pedestrian traffic, we plan to add sidewalk seating, bike parking, and bike parking throughout the project. Sidewalk seating, that when I say that, that's like a raised planter or something that just as somebody's coming past, they just can sit, or benches. The bike parking and repair stations, that's part of mixed use, and we love it. It fits perfectly with what we're planning to do. So if we move on to the next slide, again, it's just the biggest picture of these that I could show you, but really gives the historic downtown feel that somehow Providence missed out on in its years of development. And we want to make a downtown, instead of just having more of a city center that is just accessed by cars, and you drive there, walk into the business, walk back to your car, then drive away. So, do you guys have any questions for me?
Looks really nice. You put a lot of work into it. You can tell. A lot of passion about it.
I have a lot of passion, and you guys don't get you guys haven't seen, like, I have, the sizing was based on the apartments above. So like I have those laid out. The commercial space is easy. It's just open space, but the residential space is the one that is a little bit difficult, but we have great plans that work all the way around.
These renderings here, is there room for a little more different, or is this in stone?
This is not in stone. So these are our renderings. We've taken inspiration from Main Street buildings in this area and just Main Street USA in general to create these renderings. They're definitely not set in stone. There's a couple of small tweaks that we plan to make. One of them, the brick facade, it's kind of hard to have somebody render exactly what we're wanting, but we have, but the concept is what we're hoping for. And on this concept, some things to point out. Even though it's just 2 buildings, we want it to look as though it's actually 7 buildings that are all built next to each other. You can see that by the separations between each section of the building. And those separations do actually correspond with the different apartments on the top floor and the different commercial space on the bottom floor, with the exception of the black section just right here. That's all the same apartment in there. So that is purely facade and purely just for architectural pleasingness. But the concept is what we were trying to get across with this. But what we're hoping for is something, or what we're planning for is something very similar to this, where you'll notice a couple of different versions of pop outs on the second floor. The reason we do that is to actually offer weather protection to the lower level. The varied heights going across the buildings is on purpose. The historic feel of the buildings, the different window styles in the different window sections, to really make that, to really sell these were built at different times and came together organically. But so no, it's not set in stone, but this is we would love input. I mean, as a developer, I always try and get as much input as possible. I built a 55 and older community because of you guys. It was originally going to be.
We're old, is that what you're saying?
No,
None of us moved into it.
It was originally going to be just a standard community, and I can't remember exactly who it was, but they said, if you could guarantee me it will be a 55 and older community, I would approve, or I would recommend to approve the zoning or something to that effect. And we went to the drawing board, and I couldn't be more happy that we made that change. And I feel like it's turned out to be one of the best 55 and older communities in the valley. We hear it from our clients regularly, asking us if we can do this in other areas, and it's difficult to find land in other areas.
Diesel, wasn't it?
He would have been. It was.
Roland
He
Cecil.
wanted to move into it. He's not the one that said, if you could guarantee it would be 55,
Right.
I would approve it. It
No,
was
his
somebody
was
else,
more
but-
about the lots in that cul-de-sac, and now he lives in a
and-
55 in North Logan, 55 and older, because he's by my mom. But anyway, that's great. Anything I'd like to just say, I think it looks great. I have 3 things. 1, fire sprinklers. in the business spaces. It seems like we had an issue with that in the other, that was going to do that over there.
The Gateway was going to do it.
Gateway.
They found out when they had to build to the commercial code, but Jody's already planning to build to the commercial code,
So that's not an issue because it seemed like just added a lot of expense, but okay, just something to think about. Because I think it looks really neat, and I would love to see Providence have things like this. I'd love to see more of this in the actual center in Maine, but this is great. You mentioned affordable housing, but you also mentioned rentals. So,
in my opinion, rental is we would be affordable rentals. So
okay,
we plan on holding the entire project and renting out the apartments at the most affordable price that the market dictates.
okay. All right, I just was curious because I kind of heard both. So, okay.
The 2-bedroom, 2-bath layout is not by mistake. We wanted to offer a smaller, and they ended up being a little over 1,100 square feet each. And for a 2-bedroom, 2-bath, that's actually pretty big.
Yeah.
But the 2-bedroom, 2-bath units, we want that style specifically for the renter that it attracts, and and because it is more affordable than those bigger apartments that have 3 or more bedrooms in them.
Thank you. Does the city get credit for affordable housing if they're rentals? Yeah. Okay, just thought I'd check because I wasn't sure. Okay, good. And then the last thing, on your drawing you had, and you talked a lot about the biking, and I didn't see where the bike parking is. I saw a lot of where the car parking is.
I didn't have the bike parking rendered onto it. I had very limited time to get these.
Okay, that's
these
fine.
rendered.
It looks beautiful, but I just thought
we do plan on having bike parking on site.
Okay, because I noticed there's not room on the sidewalks to do it based on that rendering, but
all of our buildings actually sit back off of the sidewalk just a little bit. So the pop outs are even with the sidewalk, but our buildings actually sit back. If you go back to the
well, it's okay. I trust you. I just noticed that it didn't have that in the drawing. And then you said it has to have repair stations, bike repair station. What is that?
Usually, if you've ever been over to Federal Avenue in Logan,
Bed and Church.
What's that?
Bed and Church.
Yeah, Fed and Church, where that intersects.
Yeah.
It's usually built into a bike rack and has like a pump and, and a couple other little tools.
Yeah. Really?
There.
Okay, I didn't know. I've never heard of that before.
There's one down here, just south of First North here. In that development, has one on the close to the sidewalk. There it has a repair station, kind of gives you the
can
tools.
lift your bike up onto a thing and
Okay.
can work.
it has a clamp on it so that you can fix chains and wheels.
I rode my bike from Hiram to Logan and Logan to Providence this morning, and I didn't know they had such a thing. I didn't get a flat though, thank goodness. But I take my stuff with me. But anyway, that's good. I was just curious. I'd never heard of that. They have a map somewhere that says where those are, like where the electric car. Anyway, you don't need to answer that. Okay.
I don't think we have that yet, but that's a great idea to eventually get to.
That's good. Thank you. Any other questions for Jody? Appreciate you sharing all that.
I had a couple, but I don't want to.
Go ahead.
So, are the apartments intended to be like out in North Logan where they have built the commercial on the bottom along Second East?
The live work.
Yeah, sort of east of Maple, whatever they call it.
Yeah, I know exactly where you're talking about, and we've talked to a couple of tenants in there, and most of those are apartments with business below them, but very much so they could be live work if we found the correct tenant, we anticipate that it will be businesses on bottom with apartments on the second floor.
I don't care. I'm
But,
just curious.
yeah,
I don't think one's
we-
better than the other. But
we would love for it to be a live work situation. It's just that's a very specific use, and even there's some live work apartments that I have my own opinions about that are on the west side of Logan, on something like 1800 North and 200, 400 West. I don't know. But they're built so that it's an apartment and there's a commercial space, but nothing else was set up to accommodate the commercial space, where our design is very much so accommodate the commercial space for pedestrian bike traffic, and then there's apartments above it with parking. And all of the parking is in the back.
the other question I had, and this, I don't know how to really frame this without offending someone, but when I came to town, we used to have a grocery store west of the Providence Elementary, and they couldn't sustain it. And then it got converted into construction by Jensen Brothers. The Jensens, I don't know who has.
Immaculate has
Immaculate.
been there. Yeah.
Yeah, but I'm just looking at and kitty corner to that was Watkins Printing, but they moved west. And then there's been a number of businesses in there, but I'm looking at the GSI for the county on Providence, and those two properties are now delinquent in their property taxes, according to the county.
Yes.
And so I don't know if that's a signal that there's not a demand for commercial, or if it's just not the right building. And I'm just curious.
I mean, if you've driven past the Immaculate building or many of those buildings, they're not set up to be community interactive. They're there, but like you can hardly see the Immaculate building because of the trees in front of it, and there's no entrance from the sidewalk. Where this is located, the importance of 100 North on this location is really important, because 100 North is that main gateway into Providence. We feel much more comfortable about having this there than anywhere else in that zone. But once this is there, it will take the risk and make sure that we get tenants in there, but it will help push the city to their future land use goals of having a unique downtown core. And I mean, I know the Cache County Library has been in the news recently. We would love for that to stay, and I'm not sure where it ended up currently, but that's
good news.
I know there was a lot of support to keep it.
I know a number of years ago, and could be 10, 15, 20, but it was when Christine Durham was the Chief Justice of the Utah Supreme Court. The court came up to the Providence, where the old Rock Church was, and had just to get out of Salt Lake and let's figure out what we want to do with the court system meeting. And but I haven't heard much of rental on that property lately, but I'm not in the loop. I just haven't really seen it being in a big demand.
Well, we've seen a trend in our research, and you see it even in Logan with Center Street, in the popularity of 25th Street in Ogden, with I want to say Murray, but I know that's the wrong town.
25th Street, you mean?
No, 25th Street in Ogden, but there's another location where people are starting to realize, hey, just only having commercial that's based around car is
Well,
is
down
not
around
all it's-
23rd in Washington, and then going west, they have a number of apartments next to the multiplex theater to the south, and the temple on 22nd, 21st and 22nd.
Yeah.
Then apartments further north of that the LDS church has put in.
Yeah. It's Midvale. I was in Midvale, and they're reinvigorating their Main Street. And the key to it is not having a highway run through. Like, the grid system is amazing, but when it's super uncomfortable to walk down a sidewalk because you have huge pieces of metal barreling towards you at all times, like, we really are confident in the amount of traffic that this area gets to create something that is a boutique downtown, not just the everyday thing that you can drive your car to. And again, we've identified a few businesses that we're pursuing and would actually offer rent discounts to move into this location.
Have you gotten
Thank
a,
you.
oh, excuse me.
I just said thank you. I was through.
Have you gotten a automobile count for that street?
I don't have an automobile count for that street yet.
Do you want him to
Okay.
tell you what it is?
Yes. Do you have one?
I live across the street, and last summer I was counting, sitting out on my patio, and I had counted 177 cars in a half-hour period. But I didn't go all day long, so I may have picked it up during a busy time, coming home or going out. I don't know. It is busy.
Yeah, with it being, I mean,
Trucks, traffic, that's everything. Motorcycles, everything.
yeah, and we're, again, there's only a couple of areas this is one of the only areas in the valley that we feel like this type of development would work, and it's because of it's an artery, but it's not a highway.
Mhm.
And people don't like to sit out on highways and enjoy Saturday morning.
Yeah. Well,
Del-
it is
or
Main Street,
cafes.
and that's where you want to see the center of a community, right?
I mean, I love Providence, and I love the potential that Providence Main Street has with the Old Rock Church, with the elementary school right there, with potentially this. We feel like this would be the start.
You forgot about the automotive repair shop on the corner.
I sure did. I can't believe I forgot that one. But having the goal is for this to be the start of really a downtown Providence, not Providence City Center. And in order to be downtown Providence, it needs to be pedestrian friendly and pedestrian scale. And we want that for Providence so that we don't have to go into one of the few spots in Logan or like drive across the highway, bike across the highway to get to some of the more unique destinations that are somewhat pedestrian friendly in the valley.
Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to interrupt now at this point. Thank you for that presentation. That was great. And unless there's some other question we need to ask Jody, I'm going to excuse you from the podium there. And because we've reviewed and we've discussed, now we may set for a public hearing. That's our purpose here.
Yes,
Is
thank you.
to go to a public hearing. And so do we have any other comments or any motion that someone would like to make about taking this to a public hearing the next time we meet? Michael's going to do it, I think. I can see it.
The pressure's on me now. Um, I would make a recommendation that, let me get back to the right paper. I would make a recommendation that we I would make a recommendation that we,
Go to a public hearing or have a
Yeah.
public hearing?
yeah. Looking-
That's true.
Make a
That's
motion,
true, a motion.
yes.
Yeah, thank you.
I look at the right one. That we schedule for a public hearing on the rezone request for parcel 02-095-0031 located in the general area of 96 North and Main Street in Providence. The property is currently zoned R112 and the applicant is requesting mixed use. I would make a recommendation that we schedule it for public hearing.
Okay, Michael Fortune has made a motion,
I'll second that.
and John Peterson has seconded that motion that we go to a public hearing in our next meeting. Any other discussion?
No.
All right, those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's unanimous. And that is our last item on the agenda tonight. So does somebody else have a motion or a recommendation? I don't care, but probably a motion.
I make a motion, we close the meeting.
Michael motions, we close the meeting.
I'll second that.
Bob Perry seconds that. Those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you.
Like, since it blends in with the community, like the R16 rezoning without first area, it'll blend in with the community.